Hello, and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News Channel. I'm going to talk about Ripple and the adoption or lack thereof adoption of ODL after 2 years. Because originally Garlinghouse did say dozens of banks would be using it by 2019. We're at the end of 2020, and a total of 0 banks are actually using it. Of course, David Schwartz offers an explanation, and let's go read and dissect this explanation. So community expectations have long been that banks would adopt XRP, but the reality has been disappointing. Very much so. Amid a difficult year for the payments-focused cryptocurrency, Ripple's CTO David Schwartz has recently taken to Twitter to discuss with the community members why banks have been reluctant to adopt XRP as a bridge. Obviously, he's going to talk a lot about regulations, but I don't think that's the only reason. During an exchange with a member of Ripple community last week, Schwartz explained that there are a set of obstacles Ripple is facing that has led to banks' reluctance to use XRP to settle cross-border transactions. Schwartz wrote that he sees issues as regulatory uncertainty, last-mile problems. I don't know about last-mile problems. Fear of reprisals from existing partners as preventing widespread adoption. So regulatory uncertainty, sure, but you can't use that excuse for like MoneyGram and Western Union, which have the green light. Schwartz also stated that another reason for banks' reluctance to adopt XRP on a large scale is that the product is very new and it'll take more time to gain the appropriate momentum. Obviously, the timeline for them adopting XRP has been pushed back. Remember, like about a little more, I think like a year ago or slightly more than a year ago, David Schwartz said like he actually expected to leave Ripple in about 18 months to work on his own project. It's still related to Ripple. I think it's the custody project, like Polyswarm or something. I forgot exactly what it was called, but he actually had planned to go from Ripple to that project in about 18 months. And that was maybe like 12 months ago. So obviously that I think is also delayed because Ripple's adoption or XRP's adoption, well, Ripple's adoption is fine. Like XRP's adoption is just not there. So he's going to definitely take this through. At least I hope he is. The comments come amid a rough patch for the currency and its holders. XRP is down 18.6% for the year, so no, it's not a stablecoin, and down over 90% from all-time highs. Additionally, PayPal did not include XRP in its list of cryptocurrencies it would offer, and many XRP enthusiasts are pissed about that. Garlinghouse did give the regulations explanation for that, but that doesn't really explain why BCH and LTC got in. And the company is facing an intellectual property lawsuit in Australia over its PayID branded payment standard. I wonder why they chose PayID because they knew that was already there. Ripple investors are not the only ones feeling the pain, however. Earlier this month, Cointelegraph also reported that in 2012, David Schwartz sold 40,000 Ether at a buck each, but that's irrelevant for XRP holders. So he's basically saying a regulatory uncertainty, last mile problems, and that's not really specified what last mile problems are. I think liquidity is like a huge problem right now, and that's not going to be solved for a while. Remember, like they actually have been paying MoneyGram like $10 million on average per quarter, and that's not including the money they invested into MoneyGram to actually use ODL. So that's basically like it says like payment for building liquidity. So and in Q2 when they actually stopped paying them so much, or they said they were going to subsidize him, or MoneyGram cut off most of the usage. And now in Q3, they realize that no one else is adopting them, and they have to build via MoneyGram. So they gave MoneyGram like $10 million more. This is in their quarterly report, by the way. Again, and MoneyGram I think might start using them again. If you actually look at the ODL liquidity, there's a chart on XRP chat. You can see it's actually been coming down since May. So right now what I'm seeing is like even MoneyGram, their most touted partner, only uses XRP when they pay them to use XRP ODL. Otherwise, it's not worth it for them. So that really what that says to me is it doesn't save them any money to actually use ODL. Because if it saved them a bunch of money to use ODL, even if Ripple wasn't paying you, you'd still use ODL because it boosts your bottom line. The only reason you wouldn't use ODL if they're not paying you is unless they're paying you, it's not boosting your bottom line or it's actually costing you money. So I don't think like the cost savings are actually there for MoneyGram. You might say like the speed actually makes up for it, but obviously according to their, like if you look at their actions, the speed obviously does not actually make up for the cost difference. So that's obviously an issue. If there's not any liquidity, ODL is going to cost a significant amount to use. And even being like Ripple being a part owner, they can't basically force MoneyGram to use ODL for everything. The Mexican corridor is still really large, but if you actually look at the volume, it's actually dropped significantly since May of this year. I personally don't see this going anywhere for a couple of years. I do expect XRP to pump when Bitcoin pumps, but aside from a large Bitcoin pump, which would actually bring XRP and all the alts up with it, I don't really see any independent movement for XRP because I don't really think too much of the Spark Flare token. I think it's just going to be another smart contract thing that tries to challenge Ethereum. And I don't really think their strategy for getting banks to adopt it is going to work anytime soon. I do think regulations in the US are going to take several years. I mean, when they're talking about CBDCs in Europe, they're talking about sometime in the 2020s, and the US might actually be behind the sometime in the 2020s timeline that Europe has. So realistically, I don't really see anything coming for a couple of years. Schwartz's explanation is only a partial explanation. I think there's a lot more hurdles in there that they actually don't want holders to actually know. I do believe if you hold on to it maybe for like 10 years, you will be able to make a decent amount of money, but a lot can happen in 10 years, and there's always a pitfalls too for every single cryptocurrency. I don't really make my holding plans for cryptocurrency on a 10-year plan, more like maybe on a 1 or 2 year plan. So that's why I don't really have any XRP right now, because in that 2-year window, I really don't see them going anywhere. So that's my analysis and my dissection. Thank you and have a nice day.